your second house hack,
Sure.
which was unique in the fact that it's an FHA 203K loan. We talk a lot about that loan on our podcast. We brought in a couple of experts. I myself have used one, big fan of it. But you also combine that with the ADU aspect of it, which we've also talked a little bit about, but we haven't gone into depth. So tell us a little about that second house hack where you not only did a 203K, but you also created an ADU, some of the pros, but then also I know there were a few cons, at least with your particular scenario.
Yeah. So at that time, my girlfriend then became fiance. Like, all right, we want to buy a house and we want to continue doing the house hacking. So I actually did a line of credit on my condo. So I effectively did it for zero down when I bought this place. We saw the house, we liked some of the numbers, we liked how it was going to be, and we were one of 17 offers. Got the offer accepted. We were able to renegotiate the price down almost 10% off our contract price, and we closed. So yes, we did the FHA 203K loan where we remodeled the house, expanded it, and then we built out the accessory dwelling unit. So we just did a standard garage conversion. And currently, my wife and I live in the ADU and we rent out the main house.
Awesome. So that's where you're recording from right now.
Yes.
Awesome.
This is my ADU kitchen.
Awesome. So before we go into kind of the ins and outs of that, talk a little about the HELOC loan that you took out. You said the line of credit. We touched a little bit on the show, but I think some people underestimate sometimes the power of having, owning property and then going into your second, because you can utilize the first to help the second. You said that you effectively bought the second for zero down because you were able to use the line of credit on your first one. So walk us through a little bit of that for those that are not familiar.
So you're allowed to, if you have equity in your home, in my case, condos really started jumping up in value about 2015 on. And so I had gained some equity. So I pulled out a line of credit. Now, typically lenders don't like you using it to buy. So I pulled it out because I actually wasn't 100% sure what I wanted to do. But when you pull out a line of credit, you only get charged interest on the money you use, which is great. So you could have effectively a bank account just sitting there full of money. Mm-hmm. In this case, we did decide to use it towards the next purchase. And we only paid for the money that we used. Now, we ended up using the full amount, which we can go into why later, because that was not the intention.
Right.
That's the basics of the line of credit. It's a second mortgage, and it's usually at a higher interest rate.
For sure. So let's go through the 203K. Some people are familiar. A lot of people are not. First of all, what does it allow you to do? And then kind of walk us through your particular deal, sort of a step-by-step guide on from start, putting it under contract to completion.
So the basics is it's a construction loan, but it's for those that are owner occupied. So I'm going to live on the property, somewhere on the property, and you can use it for just about anything except for new construction or like building pools. If there's already a pool there, you can use the money. But the money goes towards fixing up a house, adding an ADU, just about whatever you want. So when we entered escrow, we got a contractor out there to give us a bid. We went through the scope of work. We started working with someone called a HUD consultant. And the HUD consultant, you effectively are hiring them, but he works with the bank. He's the guy that comes out, or she's the guy that comes out to make sure work is actually happening kind of along the way. Mm-hmm. So they all come out, get the bids together, get our scope of work together, and get the bank to approve it to make sure that once everything's fixed up there. So they did a value based off of, with the addition, with the ADU, what is it going to be worth when it's all done, and said, okay, yep, we'll give you the money. So we did that. We closed on the property, and that's where things got interesting. So for starters, the city had changed guidelines on building out the ADUs, so it ended up being a lot more expensive than what we thought. But that's why you have the line of credit from the condo, right? So it's almost like an emergency fund, because I had tenants living in there at that time. Mm-hmm. I had moved out. I got tenants paying. So the tenants have been paying the mortgage, been paying the HELOC, all that fun stuff. And then from there, once you know you're ready to get a check issued from the bank, they send the HUD consultant out. He says, okay, sewer work's been done, electrical's been done. That value is $20,000. Bank, go ahead and do the contractor. The problem we ran into is the lender was super slow. It took him 6 weeks to get us our first check. And I was like, that's rough.
Right.
Because my contractor's like, Rick, how do I pay my guys? So typically it's supposed to take, and I don't know what your experience was, and I'd love to hear it. It's supposed to take 10 to 14 days really from the whole process for each check. And it's like, for us, like our first check was like 6 weeks. Our
Mhm.
third check was like 3 weeks. It was like ridiculous. So for all those listening, if you're going to go down this route, and I still encourage people to do it, talk to the lenders and set the expectation of how long those checks are going to take.